Hi everyone, and welcome to Unit 3.1 of the Boost in Massive Open Online course. My name is Daniela Fuchs and I work at the Center for Social Innovation, a social science research institute based in Vienna. And today I will be talking about the key stakeholders and how to map them. Governance mechanisms tend to move from top-down decision-making to more horizontal decision-making. Accordingly, the range of people who demand the same decision-making broadens. When it comes to the development of policies, innovations, or projects in general, the need of different societal groups or subgroups must be adequately considered. To do so, their involvement in decision-making must be orchestrated. In the first step, this means to know who could be interested or affected by the implementation of a specific project or innovation or policy. Stakeholder mapping is an approach that allows to systematically explore the stakeholder landscape relevant to a project or a question at stake. In doing so, one needs to be aware that this also implies inviting a variety of needs, interests, motives, expectations, values, hopes, and concerns about a specific question or technology to the table. Thus, the framing of the question at stake is crucial, as it highly affects the scope of stakeholders. Basically, how a question is framed determines who is allowed or able to answer. Thus, it is crucial to reflect on the scope of a project or the perspective under which an innovation policy is assessed. As a next step, an understanding of the diverse range of stakeholders who are impacted by, interested in, or influential to the outcomes of a project or policy effort is needed. Therefore, the question is who to involve as key stakeholders, which interests do they represent, and how are they affected. To identify stakeholders and to formulate adequate engagement strategies, literature regularly refers to 4 steps that need to be taken. These 4 steps are listing stakeholders. This means all individuals, groups, or entities affected by or able to influence the project. Analyzing involves assessing their interests, influence, and potential impact. Mapping visually position stakeholders based on their level of influence and interest to reveal engagement priorities. And prioritizing determines which stakeholders require the most attention, tailoring engagement strategies accordingly. The first step, listing stakeholders, merely means brainstorming about who could influence or be affected by the project. Second, a power grid matrix could be useful to analyze stakeholders based on the level of power to affect the project or technology or policy, and the degree of interest, concern, or involvement. Therefore, in this matrix, one could localize 4 types of stakeholders. Stakeholders of high influence and high interest are key players. They are critical and need to be engaged and actively managed throughout the project. Stakeholders with high influence but low interest need to be kept satisfied. They may not engage actively, but they hold power and need to be kept informed to avoid potential resistance. Stakeholders with low influence but high interest need to be kept informed. They may offer valuable input but have limited power for decision making. And lastly, stakeholders with low influence and interest require minimal effort, yet should remain observed. This matrix helps to determine the type of collaboration and communication with the respective stakeholders. Here you can see examples for each of the stakeholder groups. Team members and infrastructure providers, for example, may be stakeholders for collaboration. Local policymakers, associations, or the public may simply be asked to consult or be informed about certain steps of the project. And lastly, media or national governance, for example, may require minimal effort by remaining informed. Third, mapping stakeholders, meaning determining and illustrating the relations between them, helps to determine adequate stakeholder engagement strategies. This could be done via mind maps, RACI maps, or network diagrams, just to name a few, all of them illustrated here. Fourth, prioritizing stakeholders helps to determine adequate strategy for collaboration or communication. Collaboration may mean co-design or co-creation processes. Showing consideration or keeping stakeholders satisfied may refer to expert interviews, for example, stakeholder dialogues, or also to participatory approaches. And minimal effort may simply mean information campaigns on the respective topic. Once you've mapped your stakeholders and defined the strategies for collaboration, you can move on to your analysis. In our case, to analyzing drivers and barriers for water reuse in video 3.2 and 3.3.